We're live. All right. Welcome to the NAB amateur radio party that Sarah and I host every year, and we're glad to have all of the wonderful viewers from TWiT with us this year. So thanks a lot for watching. We're going to have a lot of fun here tonight, give away a lot of prizes, and everybody gets to eat and have some drinks, and it's a good time fun with ham radio operators that about 80% of them are engineers for television and radio stations. That's the whole correlation. Are you having fun, Sarah?
I am having so much fun.
Here they come. Looky here.
And here they come.
They're going to be hundreds.
They're showing up.
They're showing up.
700 or 800 of our closest friends.
The closest, that's right. And they're all here to have a good time, and we're glad all of you could join us on the network tonight. This is wonderful. We have people from all over the world here, by the way. There are people from other side of the globe, and they're, of course, coming to NAB, but they try to spend Wednesday night here at the amateur radio party and win a prize, eat a little food, but mainly have fun and do a little networking. So that's what it's all about on Wednesday night at the Hilton in Las Vegas. Hi, guys.
Where's the bowl?
Over there. Yeah, looking for where to put their tickets so they can win some prizes. That's what it's all about here. Almost everybody wins a prize the way it goes. We have so many people that send prizes, people that aren't even involved in the industry. They know how powerful it is to network with the broadcast engineers. And, of course, most of them are hams. So it's really a lot of fun to help these guys have a good time at the end of their busy NAB convention. A lot of them have been on the floor all day, and they're looking for a place to sit down and have some fun. We have a lot of our friends here this year. Look at you're seeing a lot of our ham radio buddies here, Sarah.
Yes, we are. They're here enjoying the food and the cocktails, and all sponsored by Heil Sound and BSW. And again, we want to welcome Leo Laporte and all of the TWiT TV crew. They're a great bunch of people. We spent a lot of time with them when we were in Petaluma in the cottage.
Yeah.
And here he comes.
Here he comes.
If I had a drum, I'd do a drum roll.
The drum. Does anybody have a drum? Let's see. Let's see. Your name is Leo.
I'm sure I have a badge.
Your name is Leo.
I have to have a badge.
All right.
His name is Leo. Look at this beautiful couple. My God, are you in Bali?
No, we're just having fun at the ham radio party.
Bali Heil is calling. Bali Heil. No, better not mic me. I only sing when there's no mic in my face. So this is your annual party?
This is it.
Every year. This is exciting.
Every year.
And it's with the ARRL, or it's an amateur radio party, yeah?
Yes, and the ARL plays a lot in it, and they've been here with the booth all week inviting people here.
Well, that's fantastic.
Again, it's for the hams that are engineers in
right.
this market, as you well know.
Yes, there are a lot. In fact, ever since we announced we're going to do Ham Nation with starring Bob Heil, I've been getting people all over coming out of the woodwork. There are so many hams, and they are so excited. And when I say Bob Heil, they go, who better to do it?
Well, thank you.
Well, you well know.
You know that hams are the original geeks.
I do know that. Yeah, they invented packet radio.
Who else puts up 110-foot towers and hangs antennas on them, right?
Now, I don't want to monopolize you. This is your party. No?
We built a special microphone for you.
Oh, look at this. Oh, it's got a spider on it. Is this the Vince Neil microphone?
No, that is a Carrie Underwood microphone.
This is Carrie's. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, it's so great. Now, tell me a little bit about this. How many years have you been doing these parties?
I think, what is it, Sarah, about 8?
This is our 8th year, I think.
You don't do a booth anymore.
No, we just come here and throw this party with BSW and, I don't know, 500 or 600, 700 of our closest friends.
It says something about Heil Sound, though, that you don't need a booth. All you need to do is have a party.
Yes, that's right. Well, what I do at NAB is I do workshops. We did one today in the Shimmer Lounge here for FOH engineers, front of the house engineers, that work in all the different rooms, like Salon and Garth Brooks, was there today, and I did a workshop and teaching these guys more about audio, and you're thinking, well, these are engineers, but sometimes we forget, you know.
One thing, there's always more to learn in this field, right? Because a lot of it is trial and error and experimentation. You can't just make it schematic and say that's going to work.
Well, it changes a lot. And so I like to do these workshops. We did one last night for about 200 of the hams here in Las Vegas. So that's, I think, where I should be, is helping to bring more of this technology to them. They know where to find our products, and thanks to you and all the TWiT network, a lot of people know how things work and how much better they are. So we feel that's where we should be, and that's what we do here at NAB.
You know, I everywhere I go, I meet people who know Bob Heil, and they know, and you know, I'll meet engineers, and I'll say, "Oh yeah, Bob Heil," and they'll go, "Oh, Bob, everybody loves you."
You probably met a few of them that we were in jail a couple of days ago.
In Tijuana.
No.
Yeah, jails and TJ are not fun.
How would you know that?
Well,
Sarah?
I had to bail Bob out.
She saw it from the other side of the bars. Yeah, this is great. So, what do you do at an event like this? What goes on here? Besides, by the way, a lot of people taking pictures. I don't know what's going on.
Well, a lot you're in the room.
Now, what you have to understand is there are people from all over the world here that talk to each other on the radio. Radio.
Can I just show you? For instance, here's Fred Hain. Hi, Fried.
Hi.
I just wanted to show this. You go around with your call sign.
You're the tech guy.
I'm the tech guy.
You become a ham, and I don't think you've gotten your license yet.
Not yet, but now I'm have to do this.
This becomes more important to you than your last name.
It's like your license plate, isn't it? That you carry your call sign around.
You know people by their call sign, not by their name.
And you have a wonderful ARRL bolo tie. That is a classic.
Oh, I've worn that. Somehow it distinguishes me. I think that was given as a gift from another director of the American Radio Relay League some years ago, and I think it's about the last one left, and I continue to wear it.
It is really a badge of honor. You're honorary vice president of the Amateur Radio Relay League.
You know how they move people up to become vice president? See, and they say, well, we got him up to vice president. We didn't quite get rid of him, so we'll move him up to honorary vice president.
You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, and now they really got rid of me.
Well, it's so great to meet you. Did we tell you that Bob is going to do a ham podcast called Ham Nation?
Yes, and I'm trying to get some pictures, and we're going to try to get something in our major magazine.
Oh, that would be great.
QST. So at some point, I'll talk to some of you folks and get a little background of the details and try to give you guys a plug, because
that would be great.
It's a great thing for amateur radio.
You know, I don't know why I didn't do this sooner, because I am hearing from so many of our listeners and viewers who are hams, and they're saying, well, it's about time.
Yes, we had some one fellow years ago, Len Winkler, make any sense to you? And he had a weekly broadcast. In fact, I'd been on it a couple of times, and we were sorry to see it go, and we're sure grateful that you're helping us with this. It's a real contribution you're making, and, you know, I have to push the league a little, because we're supporting not just a hobby, but a public service, and a lot of times people think that amateur radio is dying when it's actually growing. And
you know what we say, the hams are the cockroaches of the world. When everything else is gone, the hams will still be there keeping the communications going.
I haven't heard that.
I just made that up.
That's great.
It's kind of insulting. I don't mean it that way. You know what I'm saying? Hams survive when everything else is gone.
And that's why you have the microphone and I do. Now, I've got one request. Since you're the greatest ham in the world, we've got to get you licensed.
I'm a ham bone. I don't know, but I would love to. In fact, I want to take that technical exam and get that started, because I think maybe that's part of the process of doing this show, Ham Nation, is showing people how to become a ham, what they need to do. And I'm not going to say how easy it is, but the process.
You're disappointed that you don't need
Morse code
anymore, aren't you?
Oh, it just kills me. Man, I've been studying that for years. You know, my friend John C. Dvorak became a ham, and I didn't believe that he could do it. And he said, no, I'm a ham. And he got the technical license, and so he's on his way. He even has some gear, some portable gear. But I figure with help from people like you and Bob Heil, I might be able to get a pretty good setup going.
Bob Heil is the man. He's given so much to amateur radio in so many ways and so many years. There's no way we can ever thank him. What we do is pass forward, right?
Exactly right.
Pay it forward.
We just keep going. That's right. Yep. Well, we appreciate the ARRL coming to the party and bringing all their friends and guiding a lot of the hams here throughout the show. They have a booth here that
I went over to the booth. It's great.
Yeah, and they do this voluntarily. It's a labor of love.
I'm starting to get, I have to say, I'm getting the bug. Everybody's convinced me. I better do this.
You better do that. That's right.
Like I'm not on the air enough.
Exactly.
But you know, I mean, there are people like Art Bell who he'll do a radio show for 4 hours, then he'll go and he'll turn on his radio and he'll broadcast another 8 hours.
It is so much fun when he was really doing it, and he'd get on 3890 or somewhere afterwards, and we'd all get on and talk to him, and then they'd all do their quarterbacking.
Oh, Art, that was crazy. Right. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, what are you talking about?
It was fun. It's fun.
Well, they're lining up for some food here.
To meet Steve.
I'd love to meet Steve. Steve, oh, we love BSW.
Oh, thank you so much.
Huge fan.
Awfully kind of you. Really.
Whenever we need broadcast gear, if Bob doesn't give it to us, we'll go to bswusa.com and we'll buy it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
We're big fans.
Well, we are honored to be sponsors of this event. It's so many people here have given us their support for so many years, and it's an honor and a joy to be a part of this event. It's a great group of people. And you know, it's we feel lucky to have them as customers.
Well, thank you, and thanks for throwing this party. It looks like a pretty good one.
Absolutely, yeah.
I won't keep you from your dinner.
All right.
It's really nice to meet you. Thanks for coming over, Steve. Really appreciate it. Steve Kawasaki from BSW, Broadcast Supply West. Although, I don't know, when they say West, it's not West anymore. It's all over the world.
All over the world, that's right. And we're very happy to have them. We brought them in as a co-sponsor a few years ago. They wanted to get closer to the ham radio market. How you do that? Right here, networking.
Well, and podcasters, too. You know, BSW sells a number of podcaster packages. I always will send people to BSW just because, in fact, early on, I think that we had some sponsorship from them for some of the shows. We did a show called Gear Media Tech. I don't know if Steve knows about it, but they sponsored that, and it was very, very nice of them.
Right. That's one of the things. You have to have a company you can rely on. It's one thing just to buy from somebody because it might be $2 cheaper, but
yeah, I don't do that anymore.
You need to find people that can support you and help you, and that's what they do. Yeah.
Sweetwater puts candy in their boxes. Yeah. That's the almond roca in there. I don't know. They're bribing me. I know. I like BSW.
Yeah, they're great people. And
so, do you know most of the people are here? I mean, is it kind of like these are your friends that show up every year?
Sarah and I know a lot of them, surely, and they're customers of ours. But most of them are engineers, and they're getting to know more and more about Heil Sound, of course. But we know about half of them.
Well, you know, it's funny because we were asked to be at the NAB show by the National Association of Broadcasters, who said, we want you to come out and stream from NAB. We won't tell you what to cover. Just do 4 or 5 hours a day. And we had never covered it before. I've been, of course, as a broadcaster, but we'd never covered it before. And I was a little nervous that our audience might not be interested, because this is pro gear.
Yes, well, podcasters are using gear even beyond what some of the
in some ways, that's true. We certainly put it to the test more. And I think that because this is kind of high-end geekery, they really enjoyed it. We're getting audience numbers now that are higher than even our CES coverage. So some of that is, of course, engineers from broadcasters saying, hey, here's a chance to find out what's going on at NAB. And I think our audience, I hope I'm not speaking for you out of turn, but I think our audience really enjoys a look at what broadcasters are using, because it all does trickle down.
Exactly. I hear that from them, too. More and more people are watching what you do and following in the tracks because you put it to the road test. And I mean really at the road test.
Oh, boy. Sometimes people don't want to let us buy their gear because we'll break it. But you have never had a problem with that. We have never had a problem with Heil Sound.
Breaks, I want to know about it because I'm going to go redesign it and make it work.
I haven't yet broken a single Heil mic. We've got nothing but great results from it. Those arms, we bring those arms out, and they are just so robust. There's nothing like it.
Thank you so much. And there's always new things coming, and we're working on some new things, too. But we're really excited to have the whole TWiT network watching, and thanks for coming tonight. And there's some other people that you might want to talk to.
If you want to introduce me to some people, I'd love to, you know.
Some of the guys that are from some of the other countries, and in just a little bit they're going to start giving away these prizes, so it's going to get pretty noisy.
I see a Motorola Zoom up there. I see an HD TV antenna. I see some TV screens. Mm-hmm. Wow. Where do they get all this? Is this all from BSW?
No, it's all donated by various companies. Companies that aren't even involved in amateur radio, but they go out and buy Kenwood and ICOM and Yaesu radios and bring them here so that they are a part of it.
Now, here's something I told Freed. I think that you're convincing me that I need to become a ham.
Yes.
So I thought maybe as part of Ham Nation, we could do a little corner every week where you help me take the next step and the next step, where to go to take the exam for the first level,
right, exactly.
What gear to get.
Exactly.
So, like, you could help me become a ham, and by doing so, help a lot of people watching who thought, I'd like to try this. Now I don't have to know Morse code.
That's right. And we have just the person to do that. And he's already lined up, ready to go. Gordon West, he has a school, an amateur radio license school in Costa Mesa. And he teaches people all over the world how to get their license. And he's really good. He's a fun guy. I can't wait to get him on the network.
Well, you know what? I found out that John C. Dvorak got his, what is it called, the technician's license, the first level license, and I was so miffed. So now we've got a war here. Yeah. And I said, well, John, you don't have the gear. You're just doing that for fun. He said, no, I have the gear.
Oh, all right. Is he?
Yeah, he's got some mobile gear.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know if he's on AM, FM, sideband, what he's doing. I don't think I think I can catch up.
Yeah. Oh, no question about it.
I want to catch up. I really want to do that.
That's right.
It's so fun. Do you think my wife will let me put a mast up in the backyard?
Oh, we got to have at least a 100-foot tower. What do you mean a mast?
I want a line that goes all the way from the TWiT cottage to my house, a mile distant.
Leo Laporte cannot have a mast.
But I do think that that's one of the things we could talk about on the show is, okay, your first antenna. What do you do? What can you put up? You put a line up? How do you choose the antenna? What frequency do you want to be on? That kind of thing.
And I kid about it, but you don't have to have a 100-foot tower. So many people today are living where they have HOAs. They can't have antennas. So what do? We build a flagpole.
And it's very patriotic, and it happens to be an antenna.
We build it out of fiberglass, and inside is a piece of wire. And it works great.
And it looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that idea.
I know guys that load up their copper eaves
on the house.
On the house. It works great.
It has to be the right length.
Absolutely. And there's all kinds of things, and hams are very ingenious when it comes to that stuff. That's what
I think that's fantastic. You know, it was funny because coming to this event, not just the party, but NAB show in general, reminded me that really, at heart, I'm a broadcaster. That's where I come from. These are my people. You know, of course, the engineers, I share that love of technology and doodads and gizmos and gadgets, but also I'm a broadcaster, so I love this. I love this, and it's been so much fun for me to be here.
Right. What we need to do is you and I need to crawl up on the stage and open this thing. You want to do that?
Yeah, can we help you? All right. You could follow along. See, you get to be on the podium here, the dais. Oh man, look at all these gadgets. I'll just hold the microphone in your face. All right.
He runs the show here. He's the NAB. There we go. The NAB guy.
We're going to put John to work.
Put me to work.
Yeah. Look at all this stuff you have to give away.
We have $20,000 worth of prizes here.
Wow.
This is the wrap-up event for the NAB show.
Is it really?
Bob's camera.
This is the premiere event.
This premiere reception.
Yeah, I was wrong. I told you it was 12,000. It's 20 this year.
Wow.
It just keeps growing.
Well, the room is full, and I think at least looking at these people, they came here first for the food. And then
come first for the food, then you see them drooling over the prizes.
Well, this is really cool. So,
it's a great event.
So, John, you've done this for how many years? Has NAB done this event?
NAB's been doing this particular event, I think, for 44 years. I've been with NAB for 20 years, so I've been doing it since then. It's amazing.
And what's your title at NAB?
Vice President of Science and Technology.
I like that.
Science and technology.
Sounds Say it
cool.
together.
Yeah.
I think I like it just a little bit. Yeah. That's really cool. And there is so much science and technology in broadcasting.
Absolutely.
It was so fun to for the last 4 days to spend, or 3 days to spend walking around the show floor and seeing in 20 years, the amazing leaps we're making and how digital has changed everything.
Exactly. Well, in 1995, we brought streaming media to the show with Real Networks.
That long ago.
1995. Wow. And the broadcasters at that time were saying, what's these jumpy little pictures here? What is this stuff?
Ha ha, that'll never go anywhere.
Out of the room and said, this is never going to go anywhere.
Well, at the time, they were kind of right.
They were right at the time. But they just didn't, see what was coming,
Well, we've come a long way. I mean, John, we're standing here with a backpack. Hilton, our camera operator, has a backpack called the Live View. It's got 12 slots for 3G cards. It bonds up to 12 different 3G cards from all the major vendors to get a high definition. This is a high definition signal going out.
setup.
Isn't it amazing?
It's amazing.
And the funny thing is, I saw several other vendors on the show floor doing the same thing. Everybody is doing this. Pretty soon, we're just going to be unwired broadcasting 24/7 all the time with a little chip in our forehead or something.
Exactly right. It's going to be cameras all over the place. You'll have a little iPhone that's probably got broadcast to the world.
Well, actually, as a matter of fact, you can.
You can.
Yeah, we can do that. Well, I don't want to keep you. I know you want to get started, and I could tell there's some slavering from the folks assembled.
They are drooling over the prizes.
Are we ready to kick this off?
We are ready.
Why don't we kick it off and let Leo introduce Leo to the crowd and let them know?
I'll say hi.
Oh,
They
yeah.
don't know who
Let's
I am.
do that,
Say hi
okay?
to the crowd.
All right. Let me kick
But
this thing off.
first, put the special
We
microphone on
have
there.
to do that. Hello, everybody. Are we having fun? Hey! I want to know, first of all, who came the farthest? Do we have any South Americans here? Venezuela, wherever. Anybody that's out of the U.S. here tonight? Australia. Look at them back here. Yes, we'd like some of you to come up and talk to us after a little bit. But one thing I have to do before I start this event is we have to change the microphone.
Well, there seems to be a Shure microphone. I don't know.
Here's the deal. Just watch what happens when we change this thing.
Oh, this is a good test.
Oh my goodness. How much more articulate, and it's 3 dB louder. Oh wow. Yay. Yes. And of course it's a Heil PR22. We want to introduce to you Mr. Leo Laporte from the TWiT network. Leo is broadcasting tonight live on the TWiT network, so all of you are being seen by all of his thousands and thousands of viewers on the TWiT network. And if you haven't dialed in, you need to do it. TWiT, This Week in Technology, twit.tv. Pay attention to what Leo's doing these days. He's streaming this live with his portable rig. So, Leo, we are really thrilled to have you here.
Oh, I'm so pleased to be here. What a great party and a great group. And I have to say, you know, this is my first NAB in about 10 years, first NAB show. And it's just so great to be back among broadcasters. I mean, broadcasting is such a privilege. It's such a special business that we're in, and we're so lucky. I was walking by this morning, the BEA booth there where they're having the career fair, and I saw these young, shiny-faced kids trying to get into broadcasting, and I thought, you poor suckers. No, I remember, 36 years ago when I was that shiny-faced kid, and what an exciting thing it is to get into broadcasting. We're so lucky to be in this business. So I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you, Bob, for letting us come here with our cameras.
Thanks for coming. Yeah. So we're going to turn this back to John, and he's going to start doing what we do best as hams, win things. Win things. Here, we're going to get it. There's Bob. Bob is a great guy from the California.
W6. When I say it right, though, you got to say like risky rago gago, right? What do you? Yeah.
Bob's a big DXer. He goes out and sits on rocks in the middle of no place.
That's fun.
Yeah.
He's trying to get those QSL cards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Well, thanks so much for everybody.
Get out of the way. Let John do the.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fun. That is so much fun.
If you don't have your name in the old hopper up here, get that ticket in there.
All right. Thank you, Bob, and thank you, Leo, for coming to see.
Thank you, John. It's great to see you. We're having a blast. Come on, we'll go down. We'll get off the stage here because I don't want to get in the way.
Because we'll be starting up and getting ready.
Besides, I want to get something to eat. Oh, good. Look at this. I don't know if you're allowed to win, Alex.
Well, I'm not technically affiliated, so.
Okay, that's right. You're just an intern. You can win anything you want. Look at this. Alex Gumpel, by the way, who did a great job on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, switching on the NewTek TriCaster HD 850. He's an intern. He got about an hour's worth of training. I hope you win.
I hope so, too. I might donate the mic if I do win.
No. Don't worry about it. Good luck. I see we got Scott Wilkinson over here, a starving artist.
Yeah. Hey, I'm a journalist now. You gotta eat the food. Free food, I'm there.
Sarah is so... Oh, and look at Sarah. You've got a glass of beer.
Yeah, would you like an adult beverage?
Well, I wouldn't mind. Oh, well, that's nice. A little... No, you one's enough for me, by the way. But you give my staff, anybody who wants.
I take care of your staff.
They need to relax because they've been working very hard.
Can I tell you a story?
Sure.
I want to sing the praises of the gentlemen and ladies at the Apple store in the Forum Shops here in Las Vegas. We were robbed in our room
Oh no!
We were robbed, inside job. Anything that had the name Apple on it, they took. They left.
Oh no!
They left Bob's brand new camera, but took all of my iPad, 2 computers. So we found out that the Forum Shops are open till 11. So I went running because Bob had all kinds of presentations to do. Those guys went to bat for us immediately. I mean, I love the guys over there. So I just wanted to be sure and acknowledge them. And the Apple folks are terrific. And then thank God for Mobile Me is all I have to say.
It was all in the cloud.
Was all in the cloud. So get it. To think it will never happen to you.
I am so sorry that happened to you.
It did. It was traumatic. You come in, my clothes are all over the floor, suitcase on the floor.
For years, I have left all my fancy gear there, trusting the staff and thinking things would be safe. It's kind of disconcerting.
It is very disconcerting, and the people at Harrah's have not helped. So, but, we've got it all replaced now. We're not happy with them, but I just wanted to send a shout-out to the guys, the Apple Store and the Forum Shops.
Well done.
Caesars. Yeah, they're my new best friends.
I'm so glad we can, they really are great for service. They really do go the extra mile.
They stole my iPad. I said, I'd like to have an iPad. Oh, we have no iPads. And I said, can you hold me one? They get a shipment every day. Oh, all right. They called me today. They had an iPad.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, so I'm proud. Thanks to them with a new iPad 2.
iPad 2.
So, my stars are back in alignment again.
Yeah, you're very lucky. Hey, let's say hi to Walter. Hi, Walter.
Leo, I'm Walt. I was the CTO of Digital Cinema Initiatives, the consortium put together by the 7 studios to create the specification for the digital movie format for theaters to replace 35mm film.
Thank goodness.
Anytime you would like to get together and chat about something, or
I would love to. Look what it says on his card: white hair, white hat, white horse. One of the good guys, Walt Ordway. Well, Walt, it's so nice to meet you.
Anytime. I'd be glad to tell you what we did, how we did it, and what was so novel about it.
Well, and I have to say, it's been a huge success because there's very few theaters you can go to these days that don't have digital cinema.
In about 3 or 4 more years, forget it. The 35mm will be gone in the local theaters.
Well, today
a lot more to it than that. Yeah,
sure. I mean, it's sound, it's screens, it's
more than that. If
distribution.
If you're an exhibitor, if you're digital. You can bring in the Metropolitan Opera. You can bring in these other things.
They do that in my local theater. They have Christie, and it's incredible, the DLP.
You make a few more bucks. You might have a drinking. Anyway, anytime you want to talk about it, I'd be glad to talk with you.
Great to talk to you. You know what I saw today? I went over to the Red booth, and they have a Sony 4K projector, and they just showed a movie they shot in 1 week on Red. It was stunning.
Yeah.
It was 4K coming to the theaters soon?
4K is, Sony's only putting out 4K. The Texas Instrument folks, Barco, Christie, and NEC, Texas Instrument just put out their 4K chips.
Those are all DLPs.
The DLPs. So they're now delivering their 4K.
So most of our theaters are going to be 4K.
Soon, more than half the theaters will be 4K. Plus, the digital 3D was also part of the spec. Anytime you want.
Really? You guys were that prescient. You knew that 3D was coming.
Are you ready? A gentleman by the name of Cameron. You probably heard his name.
Jimmy?
As we were getting towards the end of the spec, he called me to his office and he said, I want to make sure we have 3D. And
I'm working on this movie for the last 5 years.
Well, he was getting ready to work on it. He wanted to make sure 3D was in our spec. I said, Mr. Cameron, it's called 48 frames a second, 24/24. He went,
Awesome. Walt, you were prescient. So nice to meet you. We will talk. I'd love to talk more with you. It's really nice to meet you. Thank you. White hat, white horse, white hair.
One of the good guys.
I love it.
Leo, I want you to meet the Engineer of the Year a couple of years ago.
This guy.
Do you know this
guy? I
guy?
work for him. Are you kidding? I'm a premier broadcaster.
Right.
If it weren't for Chuck, do I call you Chuck?
Charlie.
If it weren't for Charlie, I tell you, I probably wouldn't be on the air.
You're on our local station, Oak Creek area.
I come out of the Sherman Oaks facility there, and of course I was on KFI for years.
Yeah, Lark Hadley is the engineer. His ham call is KA4A.
Do you have to be a ham to be a chief?
No, but it helps.
It helps.
It helps. It does help.
Well, you got a lot more credibility, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Well, it's so nice to meet you, Charlie. Charlie came on our This Week in Radio Tech show.
I was on this morning, yeah.
So, what's your responsibility for Clear Channel?
I'm a market engineer in Florida. I have over...
How many stations?
6. 5 FM and 1 AM.
They don't let you go to bed at any time at all, do they?
And I have to do IT also.
Well, isn't that nice? Isn't that special?
That's special, yeah.
Well, it's great to meet you. Yeah. Clear Channel, of course, my homeboys. That's right. Thank you, Charlie. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming by.
I just found one of my wonderful friends that we practically grew up together in Marissa. He worked for me for a couple of years.
Now, we're talking Marissa,
Illinois. He's from Redbud, Illinois. And I want Stan to come over here and say hello.
Hey, Stan.
Stan Dickens.
Leo Laporte.
Honored to meet you, sir.
It's great to see you.
Great to see you, too.
I hear you grew up in Marissa.
You know what? Back close, but back in the day, used to sweep the floor at the shop, and then the rest is history, as they say, but learned a lot from this.
Let's tell the whole network what you really do.
I have a production company. I do basically turnkey production from the Playboy Mansion to Anthony Robbins to...
Somebody happy about the Playboy Mansion there.
We got a tour out with Nelly right now, but we do a lot of live production stuff. So
interesting that is.
Pays the bills.
He personally spends most of his time with Tony Robbins.
Aren't you lucky?
I know a young lady.
A little Amber MacArthur.
I sure do.
Good friend of Tony's, of course.
Right. Yeah. Amber and I spent some time together in Palm Springs.
In the plane?
Well, that too.
Tony's got a nice plane, I hear.
Toronto, we were all over Canada, and then ended up in Palm Springs, and she went off and I guess got married, and I think she's got a child now.
She does, little Connor. She's doing great, yeah. And of course, she does a show on our network every week, so we're big fans, as you know. I will.
Well,
I'll say Stan said hey.
Stan and we all started out in Marissa together, and he's really doing well, and I'm really proud of what Stan Dickens has done over his lifetime.
Great to meet you.
Thanks, I
Sarah,
appreciate it, Bob.
I want you to come and talk to Nathan.
All right. Look at all the great people we're meeting here. I tell you, this is... Hi, Nathan, Leo.
Oh, I'm a big fan. I loved you in the Hacker movie.
Oh, you saw me in that, did you? Yeah, we were talking about, what was his name? Adrian Lamo.
Yeah, and about going to the New York Times site, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he cracked it.
Yeah, just using things that anybody could do. But
you're not a hacker, are you?
I'm what you would say a white hat.
How do you do?
Oh, I just go to websites and just use regular techniques to see if I can break anything or help any websites out. I don't go public with it like some other guys. I'll just send if I find something, I'll send a message over to the company in question and say,
"You're busy these days." I mean, with this MySQL cross-site, problem that they've had. What do they call that? Liza Moon.
Well, I don't even get into
Oh dear.
My main thing is radio engineering now because I'm a big ham guy. In fact, the first.
Story, Nathan has a fabulous story. 2 years ago, right?
First, what's your call sign?
AJ4UD.
You don't have to send out postcards if people say they saw you on TWiT, by the way.
Oh, thank you. In fact, it was 2 years ago. I had just actually gotten my ham license, and I came here just to talk with people who enjoyed the great thing that is ham radio, and I won a tower the first night. So, unfortunately,
Did you have to put it in your baggage to get it home?
Shipping was included.
Oh, thank goodness.
No, not for not.
How big of a tower?
It was a minimum 195 feet. Yeah, so.
We're still waiting. A lot of good that's going to do you.
Quite exceeded that 50-pound limit there.
Yeah, I think so.
Unfortunately, though, I wasn't able to have it because I was renting my place, and so we donated it to Firehouse. So it's being used as it should for first responders.
That's great.
Yes, absolutely. But thank you very much for doing what you do. We all appreciate it.
So nice to meet you, Nathan. Keep up the good work. Stay away from my website. Hi, how are you? What's your name?
I'm Sue Brown, and I'm a teacher, and I'm a big fan of yours.
What do you teach?
I teach technology.
And where?
At Taft High School for LA Unified.
That is a challenge to keep high school kids interested, but I bet they're more interested in technology than, let's say, Ben Franklin.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they can make it sing, and they love anything that we bring on board. But on top of teaching the technology to the kids, We also teach professional development to teachers and educators throughout the district.
Extremely important. You know, a lot of companies will come, they dump technology on the school, and they say, see ya, and no one knows how to use it.
Absolutely, and so that's exactly what we're doing. And because right now there is no funding, the school districts have had to pull back on what they're able to contribute. So we've started a company where we're able to offer professional development to anybody outside in Los Angeles and outside with continuing education units. And we have various universities and state universities that are on board with us. And so I wanted to...
That's fantastic. edtechworkshops.com. So if you're a teacher, K through 12, you can go to edtechworkshops.com and find out about professional development so you can help use technology in schools. Are you finding teachers are using iPads now more?
You know, we are. And we're using iPads, we're using iPhones, smartphones.
Really? Even smartphones?
Oh, absolutely.
How do you use a smartphone in a curriculum?
We're using it for the connectivity, for the internet, for email. The kids are staying connected 24 hours.
Here, VHF operators, this is a great book to have in your reference library. Okay, we're still looking for 248-463, 248-632, 463, got it, David. 248-180, and 248-443. All right, still looking for 632, the last three digits, 248-632, 248-180, and 248-443.
Can you hear me now? How long did you not? Just now?
You want to wait?
Decathlon. They beat a lot of high schools if they were the national champions.
Yes, we did. And we'd love to continue that with our kids.
Sometimes I worry that technology is used in schools as a babysitter, as a way to not teach. So it's really important that we incorporate technology into the curriculum in a way that supports teachers in getting their job done.
Oh, absolutely. And what we're missing is that middle ground there. We're missing the software to keep the continuing education going. We don't have software to support the operating systems. We don't have the connectivity to keep the workflow going. So it's a cyclical problem. But we do have a stopgap in that we can continue the education so that the teachers can have the options to make the technology work.
You know what I see time and time again is teachers spending their own money, their own time, bringing their own equipment in because teachers are so committed to the kids and to learning that it always moves me to see how hard teachers work to get their job done, sometimes fighting against the worst budget situation. I mean, it's really great. They do such a good job. You do such a good job. Thank you.
And I appreciate your support for education. I can't tell you what a fan I am, and I know my students are as well.
Well, I'll give a shout out to Taft High School. That's great. Do you have a geek squad?
We don't yet.
Tech team?
We're going to be coming up with one very soon. Absolutely.
Because those of us who grew up on the AV squad, we need something to do, right?
Right, absolutely. You're our best troubleshooters.
I bet half the room here was on the AV squad.
Oh, yeah. We have our AV department, and now I'm looking for our networking department. I want someone to run our servers. That's what we're missing. The AV we've got. So my fine arts are good. I need my networking and my servers and my Wi-Fi people, and AT&T has come on board with us as well. So we're now all fiber optic, so at least we're able to get the information out there.
What we found is that in every 100 or 200 kids, there's usually one kid who is seriously into this. He runs a Linux server at home. Xavier, you know who you are, at a high school that my kids go to, and it's that kid that ends up doing so much for the school.
And you know, we had that kid, as a matter of fact, because
graduate, darn them.
But he came back. And unfortunately, because of all those budget cuts, we had to let him go, or we lost him. And it was an enormous loss for us, because as you know, they work well beyond what the...
Get more than 40 hours a week at them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, Ed, I'm going to send everybody to edtechworkshops.com. If you're a teacher, a great place to get additional training and professional development.
Right.
And it's so nice to meet you. Thank you for coming by. Susan Brown in the Computer Science Department at the Los Angeles Unified School District, Taft High School. So nice to meet you, Susan.
Nice to meet you, Leo. Thank you so much for everything that you do.
I love what I'm doing. I'm a teacher, too, aren't I?
You are absolutely the best.
I just don't have kids throw stuff at me.
Oh,
No spitballs in my class.
absolutely not. A big shout out.
Thanks, Susan. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Alex Lindsay's here. How's it going? It's great. So, have you been enjoying NAB, the NAB show? I think you're in a pig and hog heaven.
I am. I'm covered with mud. I'm covered with media mud.
I have to say, I did not expect to have so much fun and to want so much stuff. It's for me even more interesting in some ways than CES because this is stuff that's doing real work.
Yeah.
It's
not silly stuff.
It's not toys, it's not chrome, it's not stuff that you throw away after 6 months. This is hardcore tech that's doing a tough job day in, day out. Yeah. And it's amazing.
Well, and it's not like will it break in 2 weeks. It's like I'm going to be in the mud and I'm going to be outside and this thing still has to run. And
critical stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's so much fun to see this. I mean, this is where really tech hits the road. Yeah. It's where it really matters. And so much fun.
I'm glad we got you out here.
Yeah, you won me over.
Yeah, so it's going to be exciting. And we found lots of things to talk to Lisa about.
Yeah, lots of things we want to buy. I know you looked at a jib, you looked at a Steadicam. We're looking at all sorts of virtual stuff.
With a jib.
Yeah, I heard that. I don't understand that. It was sticking out of your chest?
You hook it right here, and then it's like...
That sounds like a great way to break your back. You know, one thing I got to say, and I'll say this to you, Hilton Goring, our camera operator, they treat shooters terribly in this business. They act like you guys can carry hundreds of pounds. Now you got a jib coming out of your chest. That's workers' comp right there. I can just see it right there. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of massage behind that.
Hey, let's say hi to Jason. So good to see you, Jason Davies, Petalumen. Jason is with Bias Sound.
Yes.
We are moving
this is our
office.
Yeah, both of us.
Yeah.
Oh, good to see you.
Yeah,
good to see you too.
He's your business development at Bias.
Yes.
And it's real. I didn't know you'd be here, but of course you would.
Oh, yeah.
Is Bias here?
Oh, yes, we are. We're exhibiting our latest edition of Peak. In fact, it features a declipper technology, so if you speak too loudly into the mic and clip the signal digitally, we can fix it.
We were talking about this earlier. It actually fills in the sound.
Yeah, what it does
is...
That's
a huge problem.
Yes, because what happens is it gets squared off and you lose that information. So what we do is we interpolate on either side of that peak and fill it in, and it's really astounding.
I mean, in the field, that's one of the #1 problems with digital recorders is that
Once
you're
you
going to get a clip.
record it that way, you're stuck. I mean,
well, you used to be.
Yeah,
used to be. Anyway.
So we've had broadband noise reduction for a while. We came out with adaptive.
Sound Soap is the king of cleanup.
And Sound Soap Pro with the adaptive noise reduction. But now we have the Peak Studio, which includes everything, and it's basically the same price but more bang. So we say, more bang, same buck.
It is. I actually just got the new Peak Studio, and it's really a great piece of software. I'm very happy.
We also have this. It's our iPro recorder for the iPhone.
Oh, look at that! It's gorgeous.
It's very cool, and you can send the files directly to Peak via Wi-Fi for instant editing.
Wow!
Very, very cool. It's got a little jog wheel.
It's a gorgeous interface.
Yeah,
it's nice.
How much is that?
Oh, it's a couple bucks.
Yeah, see, that's
it's a little more than that.
It's $4.99 list.
Oh,
and typically we run sales on it, down to $1.99, 99 cents sometimes. I think right now it's $2.99.
A must-have.
I'm going to get it. In fact, that might be my pick of the week next week.
I think I actually might have it.
I wanted to thank you again, Leo, for supporting me in my council run for city council.
He was trying to get on the city council, and they pulled a fast one on us. And in Petaluma, we had an empty seat.
And you got a little small town
run
around.
Number 4 vote getter. Out of the three get the seat. The fourth one is right under the wire. He was the natural choice, and I went and spoke at the city council trying to get him in there because this guy knows tech, and we needed to have tech in Petaluma. But let me thank you because we are really excited. We're about 2 months from getting into the new studios. I don't know if you've been over there.
I haven't been. Zach went over there the other day to check it out, and he saw that all the old offices have been gutted.
Cubicles out, but we also painted, and it's going to be really spectacular.
We got a big green screen site where the cubicles used to be.
That's awesome. Well, I also serve on the tech committee. I'm actually chair of the technology committee that you served on.
I was on it for about three weeks.
Yeah. And did you get the email from Tim Williamson? Because he was suggesting maybe we do some little video promo on your business expansion.
I did, and I meant to send it back. I'd be very interested.
That'd be awesome. So I told Tim I'd follow up with you on it. Maybe
it's a deal.
deal when they get
Make the deal. Shake your hand right now.
It's a media hub. I really think Petaluma could be. So
we're trying to turn Petaluma into that. Yeah.
Close proximity to the Bay Area, excellent town,
and some amazing people there, like Bias Sound. I think that this is like
there is
TWiT.
a lot of tech. Like when I worked at Lucasfilm
Alex
and
has moved
ILM,
up there, by the way.
You know, yeah, I'm up there now, and my friends, a lot of my friends were working living in Petaluma and working at Lucasfilm and so on and so forth. So there's a real high tech artsy community that's up there.
And that's what provides the good income that gets back into the city coffers. It's not just about making more shopping malls all the time. You know, we've got to really cultivate the tech jobs that can bring the kind of salaries we need to grow the city in a sustainable way.
Absolutely.
So, nice to see you, Jason. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Well done. All right.
All right. See you later.
And Bob Heil and Sarah Heil liked Petaluma a little bit when you visited, didn't you?
You better believe it. I'd love to move there.
It's a beautiful town.
It's great. I see why you're there.
Yeah.
I found a gentleman from the Dominican Republic, Joe.
Joe, buenos dias. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
No, that's as far as I go.
Millions of people speak Spanish.
I know, and in fact, it is a huge. Oh yeah, watch the number. He might win. We don't want to miss the winning thing. So what do you do in the Dominican?
I am a broadcaster, FM AM.
Now, I've been talking to Bob and others that, in fact, because in many cases in these nations they were nation-run, government-run stations, it's now opening up. So there are now new privately run stations. Is that the case in the Dominican Republic as well?
Yes. The new administration on the new law in the Dominican Republic is to open. It's very wide.
So it's new?
It's new. It's, no, the law have about 6 years.
Okay. And how many stations are there now?
A lot.
Yeah. As many as the spectrum can handle. That's exciting, though. And there's a variety now of not only music, but I'm sure public affairs programming.
Maybe music, public affairs, and news.
News is so important. And not government controlled.
No, it's private radio. Yeah. Private radio. The government have 3 or 4 stations. They use it for education and for the armed forces.
It's interesting because radio for us feels like an old technology, but when you can start getting all these stations over the last 6 years, it is so important to a country like the Dominican Republic.
And yesterday here, the Indotel, el Instituto Dominicano de las Telecomunicaciones, announced the new format for TV, ASTC.
You're going to use ATSC in Latin America?
Latin America, Honduras, Puerto Rico, now Dominican Republic.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Did that end as 2015?
What were you using before?
You know NTSC?
Yeah.
248-468.
What do you support the NTSC?
Never the same color, we call it.
That's right. That is the one.
So ATSC is a big step forward for digital and mobile now.
Mobile. I'll try the radio AM and FM. Uses the Ubiquity system, HD radio.
Yeah, Ubiquity. Yeah.
But there were a restructuration of the band because there are much stations together, and the Y band.
They're interfering.
That's different.
Well, it's such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for coming to our country and for sharing your experience.
Hey, I come here every year from long times ago.
It's fun, isn't it? Yeah. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming. We really appreciate it. Oh my God, there's cameras. Lots of people are gathering around trying to win prizes. Bob, did he win anything? Did he win anything?
Not yet.
Oh, man.
Young.
You know, we were talking, what's interesting is radio is exploding in Latin America and Asia because they've been government-run stations for so long. All of a sudden, he said 6 years, the law changed, and now privately held radio stations. And he said now they're interfering with each other. There's so many. I think that's great.
But they don't have an FCC to tell them what to do.
Yeah, nobody's telling them what to do. I think, there's pluses and minuses.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pros and cons.
Exactly.
Bring them on over here. We've got some more people. Sarah Heil, you're introducing us to the most interesting people.
I do. That's because I'm just surrounded by. I have an interesting husband. Number one.
You sure do.
To point that.
You have a character of a husband.
Leo Laporte, I want you to meet Andy Ebert. Andy Ebert.
Hi, Andy.
Nice to meet you. Hi.
Front of the house, engineer for Stone Temple Pilots.
Wow.
Monitor
engineer, actually. I'm the monitor engineer. I mix the sound for the bands, but it's close enough.
FOH, monitor, it's all the same.
221, whatever.
Yeah. So nice to meet you, Andy.
Very nice to meet you.
How long have you been with the pilots?
The last 3 years, since 2008.
Lots of touring.
Oh, yeah. Plenty.
And how do you like the road?
Mainly I love it, but it has definitely some rough times here and there.
And it's tough for you because, but not only a lot of time on buses, but you have to get there first. You have very little time. You've got to set up. If you're doing the monitors, that's where the musicians complain the most. You are on the line.
Yes, sir. The hot seat right there. And we start at 8 in the morning and we're finished at 2 the next morning. So the
wow.
Long.
And you set it up. They play a show, and now you got to break it down, get on the bus, and go to the next show.
Correct.
Well, you have my deepest respect. What kind of speakers do you use?
We use a combination of in-ear monitors, which is
right. They all do that now, don't they? It's funny. I was watching a concert from many years ago. In fact, it was Bob Heil's pictures from, I can't remember if it was Frampton or one of the many groups that he's done. And the monitors are these big speakers on the stage. They're not wearing earphones. That's changed things a lot, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah. They're still around, those big speakers, and we still carry them.
Feedback issues and...
Not really anymore, because it's mainly through the in-ears, which helps dramatically.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
The musicians can finally hear. Sound pressure levels are lower, so they don't lose their hearing.
You know what? Hopefully. But so many of them are so deaf already that they just crank it up even more, which doesn't help.
Do you scold them?
Some of them you can. You can only
say, don't turn it up.
Well, you can only try so much, And as you said, I'm in the hot seat, so you got to be careful.
What do they use? Ultimate ears? What is the most common?
Yes. I'm using Ultimate ears, and most bands I work with use Ultimate ears. They're definitely way up there.
Good sound?
Yeah. Great sound. Expensive products.
Well, you have to get it molded for one thing.
The molding is like $50, and then the product is another $1,000 roundabout.
So I guess the molding isn't a big cost compared to the product. $1,000.
Yep. But it's worth it.
I imagine these guys have several pairs. They're not going to risk it all on one pair.
You need a main pair and then a backup pair. In case the main pair goes down, it's got to be replaced within 20 seconds.
So are the monitors in a separate mix, or how does that work?
Yes, I'm at the side of the stage, have a separate console so I can control everything on my own, and the front of house guy who mixes the sound for the audience can control everything he wants to control.
It's completely separate, though.
Completely separate.
And the musicians, do they want to hear themselves more in the mix? Do they want to hear the mix? What is it different for every musician?
Since there are in-ears now, or for the last few years, everybody basically has a CD mix, and then they want to hear themselves a little louder. Correct, yeah.
That makes sense, I guess. So you can hear what you're playing, but you got to hear what everybody else is playing, too.
For the most part. Some guys don't want to hear that guy, for example, so you just don't.
They say that? They say, whatever you do, I don't want to hear the guitar.
That happens.
Really?
Not the guitar, but...
Is it because they're having a fight?
Some days. It can be. In the pop world, that happens, for sure.
And vocalists, do they do anything different?
It's basically the same thing, but the vocals are usually very loud, and then... With Stone Temple Pilots, it's so effects heavy. All I do during the show is mixing reverb.
So you're changing it all the time?
Oh, yeah. Throughout the show.
But you're not controlling the front of house reverb, so you're putting it into their mix.
Correct.
To match what the front of house is doing.
No, it's usually
to make them happy?
It's very different just to make them happy.
Really?
That's all I do.
Sweeten that up, because he sounds terrible. Now, come on. Auto-tune. Are you using any auto-tune?
There are bands out there that do use it. With those guys, not at all.
They don't need it.
No, most rock bands don't.
Because they don't have to be pitch perfect anyway.
Exactly, it's more the fun of the show and the
energy, the feeling, and the emotion, not so much the exact notes.
Absolutely. In the pop world, it can be different.
You see a lot of it. I mean, and then you'll get I won't say any names, but you'll see a performer in a live situation without her auto-tune, and oh, they can't sing.
And there are so many bands out there that come to radio, or pop acts, singers that come to a radio show and give their CD to the sound guy. And
yeah, say, I'll lip sync. Basically.
Yes, sir.
I'm not singing. I'm lip syncing right now, by the way. I always do that.
I always lip sync.
Yeah, because I'll never get it just right, so I always pre-record all my interviews.
You got to save your voice. It makes sense.
It's so nice to meet you. Yeah, what a fascinating job you have. How interesting. Now, are you here? Will you buy stuff here? I mean, is this kind of like a shopping spree for you, or is it more just to see what's out there?
You know what? I was meeting up with Bob and Sarah today. Bob had a little seminar.
So you're part of the FOH seminar he did?
Correct, yeah.
That's great. Did you get to see the show floor at all?
No.
Do you want to?
I do live in Vegas, and is it still running tomorrow?
I think it's over.
I think it's over.
Oh, so I missed that one. Next year.
You don't need to see any of this stuff. You know what you use. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for coming over. Really great. My pleasure. What great people we have here. It's really fun. It's so neat. Yeah. Let me talk to this ham over here. He's a life member of the Atlantic Division. Hugh Katz, K3HU. I like it. How'd you get HU, Hugh?
It's a vanity call. I happened to pick it up as a vanity call. Cost me a little extra money.
It's easy to remember.
Yes, it is. And my name is Hugh, so it works perfect. It works pretty good, yes.
How long have you been a ham?
Well, my first license was in 1962.
So you know the dit pretty well.
Yes, but it kind of gets away from me after a while at my age.
Nobody does code anymore, do they?
Oh, yes, a lot of people do code. They
just for fun?
Well, that's the hobby. This is the hobbies for fun. Yes. We listen to you in Washington, D.C. area, Maryland.
WMAL in the D.C.?
Yeah. Yes, I listen to you on weekends sometimes when I can get you. I don't always get you.
I need a ham rig. Maybe I need a 100-foot mast.
That would work great. Great. Best thing you put up there.
Actually, we're starting a ham show. Bob Heil's going to host it called Ham Nation. I'm asking people, what do you think of that name, Ham Nation?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
And I thought we'd do a segment where Bob would basically help me become a ham, because I'm not a ham, and I thought I'm a ham bone, but
very easy these days. You don't need Morse code.
It's a lot easier.
It's a lot easier. So
he'd help me get through the tests, get the equipment.
Yes, and the hobby is building up somewhat.
Is it really?
Yes, it is somewhat. It's building up, even with the internet and the people on computers.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because I used to do a lot of shortwave listening, because I used to love to pick up DX stations from all over the world. It was really fun when I was a kid, but now every one of those stations is on the internet.
That's true.
It's still fun to DX, but it's not the same.
Well, you can do hamming also on the internet. You can go radio to computer, computer to radio.
So that doesn't take the thrill out of it?
Somewhat. The best thing is riding around in your car and...
You're a mobile ham?
My HF operation is mobile, but around town I'm on VHF and UHF. But when I go on the road and I travel, I get on the HF frequencies for my big car, not my little car, and it's fun.
One of the reasons I want to do this show, of course, is because hams are the original geeks. I mean, they really are into the technology. That's why they do it.
Yes. And your show is fantastic. I mean, it really is. You get a lot of the technical stuff from the computer side on your show. So if you could do some ham stuff,
wouldn't that be great? And maybe I can get some young kids into this hobby.
Yes, very definitely.
Love to do it.
Yes. And I'm retired from the U.S. government, so
what did you do, Hugh? You were a spook, or 3 letters?
Close. Voice of America.
VOA.
I was with VOA for 36 years.
That's fantastic.
5.5 years.
Now, were you based in D.C. or did you go around?
Based in D.C., but I went around too.
And were you an engineer?
Yes, I was a technician. Started out 4 years in the studio and then spent 31.5 years out in the field working with the network crews out on the streets of Washington, D.C. Traveled around the world with presidents and all kinds of things, sporting events, Olympics, political conventions.
Which one has alcohol in it?
That's the one you need.
I find for lubricating the vocal cords.
And the Voice of America is still on the air. A lot of people.
That's what I want to ask you.
People think that Voice of America is gone. It's not. Voice of America is still here. And
how many countries?
I can't tell you now. I think it's over 40 at this time. At one time, it was over 50. There's been some budget cuts.
I think sometimes we think of Radio Free Europe and Voice of America as propaganda machines.
Not Voice of America.
RFE was.
RFE, somewhat, yes. But
they were talking to the Eastern Bloc, the Soviet Bloc, and
America is kind of a legitimate, we're a legitimate news agency. We broadcast to these countries, tell them what their news is that they can't get in their own radios in their country. Voice of America also has television, and they've had television for years, and they're also on the internet. But we do not broadcast in the United States. But I've been retired now for almost 7 years.
Well, you do a good plug for VOA.
Yes, and I did work in broadcasting for 50 years.
Wow.
Started in 1954 at Michigan State University in East Lansing, Michigan, and worked for 2 networks. Worked NBC on the West Coast. I worked for ABC on the East Coast. I worked for ABC in Detroit when WXYZ was an
great station, a great station.
Worked with people like Soupy Sales and.
Oh, I love the soup.
So I had a lot of quite a career and quite an experience, and I've traveled around the world for Voice of America and did a lot of broadcasting for them.
Broadcasting is an amazing business. I was saying this earlier. I'm just so proud to be a part of this business.
Yes, it's a great business.
It's changing.
Yes, it is changing.
Thanks to the internet, but the fundamentals are not changing of people talking to one another and having a conversation that goes out to the world. What's nice now is the world comes back to us through interactivity. So it really is just people making a connection.
Yes, and I was just watching this gentleman here you've got on camera, and of course I did that many years ago, but not with something that small. I worked with.
It's high def, Hugh.
Yes, I know, but
1080p.
The original TK40 RCA cameras, which weighed 300 pounds when I was at NBC at Burbank.
And they weren't as good as this.
No, they weren't.
It's really amazing. Now you want to really be amazed. This is live. We're broadcasting right now. On his back is a backpack. It's a LiveView backpack with 12 3G cards in it. And they're bonding the bandwidth so that we can send this up high definition to the internet.
It's just fantastic.
In real time?
Yes, the technology has increased so much since I got in it in 1954. The technology has just gone wild. It's wild.
I always wonder what somebody like Arthur Godfrey would have done with something like this.
That's right.
What an Ernie Kovacs. I mean, what an opportunity.
Yes. They were a little before me. I had friends that worked with Godfrey when he was at WTOP in Toledo.
Well, Soupy Sales. I mean, I love Soupy.
Well, I worked with Soupy at WXYZ in Detroit in 1958. I
can tell you something right now.
Before he went to the network, but it was an ABC O&O station at the time, and it was a fantastic show. He did the kiddie show in the morning, which was a lot of fun.
With White Fang?
White Fang and Blacktooth. And you'd work the evening show for the adults, which was
very adult.
Very, very adult.
Even his kid show is pretty adult. I have to say, I grew up to Soupy Sales, very influenced by him. And I just know, I didn't know him, but I could just tell he would have loved this, and he would have used this and been so creative with it.
He was a great fellow. Great fellow.
Hugh, so nice to meet you. K3HU.
Yes, Leah Laporte, and I will keep listening to you. And I met somebody who told me about your television. I'm not sure if he knew you at the time. I've written it down someplace. I've got to see you on television.
TWiT.tv.
TWiT.tv.
It's only on the internet now.
Only on the internet.
Which we like.
Yes. Well,
because nobody tells me what to do.
That's great. That's great.
I can tell you right now, if we were on NBC right now, we would have been dead hours ago.
And the FCC is here this weekend, too, this week. So
yeah, I saw Julius walking down there.
Yes, yeah.
You can't touch me, baby.
That's right. It's wonderful. It's been a pleasure meeting you and talking to you, and keep listening to Voice of America. Tell them VOA is still on the air on shortwave. They're on internet, voa.gov. And
so you can hear it in the U.S. now.
You can hear it in the U.S. on the internet. If you have a shortwave receiver at home, you can also pick it up, and you could for many, many years.
people and legendary broadcasters at the VOA who don't get a lot of credit. It really was, and it still is, an amazing institution.
Books written about the VOA that are very interesting, too, and I'm reading one now by Alan Heil, who was a former deputy director of Voice of America.
I'd like to read that, actually.
And, well, I can't tell you the exact title of it.
I'll find it.
Yeah, find it, but it's by Alan Heil, another Heil. And it tells the history of Voice of America from the early days, from 1951, and then when they moved to Washington, D.C. in 1954. And I read it, and I know a lot of these people I know.
So it's authentic.
It is authentic, yes. It's very, and the VOA is...
You may live in D.C., but I see you're still a Tigers fan.
Well, I'm a Tigers.
Never give it up.
Born in Detroit, grew up in Lansing, Michigan, and I'm a Tigers fan and a Lions fan for many, many years.
Thank you, Hugh. Great to meet you. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. Take care. Hey, how are you, Shannon? Are you with BSW?
I'm the sales manager at BSW, yes.
We're big fans, you know.
Well, thank you. We're big fans of yours as well.
We buy a lot of crap.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Mostly from BSW.
We like it when people buy a lot.
I got to tell you, Sweetwater puts candy in their boxes. Can you work on that?
We do put candy in it.
Oh! It's a whole candy thing.
Yes.
Almond Roca. You're the Almond Roca. Forget those other guys. I love the Almond Roca. Is that why you do? Does Carrie Underwood have this problem? Yeah. It's good. It's the way I'm holding it. I hold it wrong, so I'm gonna hold it like this from now on. Yeah. Do you have any advice, Shannon, for how I should hold this?
No, actually, I think you're doing quite well. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's all about the pinky, isn't it? Yeah. So BSW is one of the sponsors here. I see the table is almost empty.
Yes, the raffle goes quite quickly, yes.
And
the cheese.
The raffle and the cheese. You can't tell. One is going to go first, but we don't know which. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for putting this on.
Thanks for being here. It's great to have you. It's a great group of people. That's
great. BSWUSA.com. Thank you, Shannon. Hey, how are you?
Another one of my great, interesting friends.
You have so many nice friends. And I'm proud to include myself among them.
You are. You're on the A-list. It's short, but it's distinguished, Leo.
Thank you.
This is Matt Aaron. Matt Aaron is the chief engineer for Dave Ramsey.
Well, Dave is a legend, and I want to know how he does his radio show from Mexico, because I want to do that, too.
Well, we use a gamut of products from Telos and Omni and Axia to do that. But
and you use IP, Internet Protocol, to do it, right? It's not ISDN.
Actually, the last time we did it by IP. We did it with a product called the Telos Zip. Very interesting product. I mean, it's Skype-based technology. From my understanding, Telos partnered with Skype to be able to do that. So
yeah, we use Skype for a lot of our shows, and we do find Skype has very low latency and very good quality. I mean, it's probably not broadcast, standard, but it's pretty good.
Oh, you'd be surprised on how many actual broadcast stations, mid-market, and actual large broadcast stations are actually using Skype today.
We run our station on Skype, so I wouldn't be too surprised.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's amazing technology. IP has really changed the world and how we see it and how we see. I mean, this is the ham radio reception. How we see ham radio today. I mean, IP is where it's going.
So when Dave goes to Mexico, do you get to go with him?
Yes, unfortunately, and Laura.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, Laura, our call screener, gets to come with us, and
what a tough life.
Yeah, I know. And being radio, I mean, I get to test a very small portion, and
Dave is a legend in the business, and the way he has managed to make a business out of what he does is really remarkable.
Yes, it is.
How many stations?
I'm guessing somewhere. I mean, I can't.
I'll give you just to put this in perspective. I personally am on 143 stations. A lot of stations. Dave Ramsey is on.
I'm guessing about 400 something.
Yeah. Thanks.
It's okay. But you have good tech people. Not like
I do have good tech people.
Yes, you do.
In fact, as the host, you would like working with me. I understand technology. I'm not soliciting.
No, that could be a problem.
Is Dave into the technology?
No, Dave's more like make it work and make it work.
You're right. It's easier if he doesn't get involved, isn't it?
No, not necessarily. I like to educate, though. I mean, Dave is what he is. He's exactly what he says he is. It's not like some of the people I've worked with in the mid-market.
Oh, do tell.
And
name names.
I'm not naming any.
Dish.
No, I'm not. But
those sons of.
Not saying that. Come on now. But no, Dave is what he says he is, and it's a great honor to work for an organization like Dave. And
where else does he broadcast from besides? Is it Cancun?
We've broadcasted from Cancun. We got an entree leadership, which is our business style stuff that we do, where Dave teaches his business class, and basically our playbook and how we built our company to where it is right now.
So Cancun, and where else?
We're going to Orlando, Florida. We've been to Cancun. I think.
Does he? Where does he live?
Brentwood, Tennessee.
Does he broadcast from there?
Well, actually, I'm sorry, Franklin, Tennessee. We have a studio in Franklin / Brentwood. We're right on the line between the two cities.
Now, he must use ISDN in the home studio.
Believe it or not, we have a direct circuit to New York that goes to Citadel.
A tie line.
Yes, you could say.
56K?
64.
64K.
I wanted to up you on that.
Yeah, it's a little bit better.
Yes.
It goes to 11.
Yes, but we do have ISDN backup. We use ISDN. We use direct circuit to New York, to Citadel Media at this point. They're our main distributor on XDS platform, and then we have a couple little other platforms outside of that to redistribute the show.
And he uses Telesaxia?
Yes, yes.
So do I. I love it.
Isn't that an amazing product?
Unbelievable. One of the things the reason Kirk Harnack from Telos came to us and said you really ought to be using an Axia is because he saw me suffering with mix minus constantly.
Well, it's kind of funny. I was talking with Dave the other day. We were talking about mix minus and all the stuff we do. I mean, we've done Fox Television.
Does Dave understand mix minus?
Unfortunately, yeah.
He knows when it doesn't work.
Yes. But no, Dave actually can work through it for a good period of time.
It's a nightmare. So how can we explain this to our audience who's never experienced the nightmare of hearing yourself back in your headphones?
If you enjoy talking drunk, that is how mix minus works. I mean, that was
you say something and you hear it 3 seconds later.
It's very irritating, very irritating. I notice you're running a nice Heil mic.
Yeah, of course. I only use Heil. Are you Heil Studios as well?
We're using a Shure HM.
Okay, well, it was nice talking to you.
We actually use a Shure HMD 25, and I'm actually employing them right now to make a headset mic.
Can I just say PR40? PR40?
Yes, but, Dave does this wonderful 3-hour radio show every day.
So do I.
But let me tell you.
PR40, baby.
I'm driving these guys crazy to make a microphone because Shure has discontinued their HMD 25.
I used to use the HMD for a long time. So is it that Dave's always moving around, so he needs a headset?
Yes, that's part of the problem. But I've been talking with Bob, and I think Bob's got something on the table.
Hey, if you make an HMD 25 replacement, I'd be very interested myself. One of the nice things about I'm more than lubricated. Thank you. One of the nice things about a headset microphone is it does, for somebody like Dave who is looking at stuff and is moving around, it's much more convenient. I work the mic. I like working a mic, but not everybody wants to do that.
Well, and, sports talk, I was talking with some friends of mine up in New York that also run some of the news stuff up in New York, too. I mean, they've got they've bought a lot of the 25s as well, and Shure's discontinued it, and their replacement does not work the same. I mean, their headset mic is better than the Shure current mic. The Shure current mic uses a steel frame cable, and the steel frame cable, every time you move, you've got it. And their mic element, when you flip it up, it mutes. The mute's okay, but the mic element, as you move up and down, it moves up and down. And
can't do that. That's just not okay. Don't tell Sarah, but I have about 18 HMD 25s in the locker. I'll be glad to send you some.
No, that's okay. I'm good.
This is Carrie Underwood's microphone.
Oh dear.
Yeah. What's Carrie using?
Well, she's using the capsule. She's using the
So you made this body for her, and she doesn't use it right now.
She does use. This is a duplicate, actually. We did this for her. We have a custom shop that can do anything you want to do.
It's a little glittery for me.
Well, I can tell you, though, I've been to their shop. Their shop is amazing. The microphones, I've compared it to the RE20.
Oh, it's the best stuff in the world.
RE20, the first time I saw Bob plug in a Heil PR40, let me tell you what I did. I asked Bob, I said, Bob, did you drop the PR30? Not PR30. I mean, sorry, the RE20. I said, did you drop the RE20? I mean, what did you do to this thing? Because I'm
short. It's something. It got compacted.
Yeah, your EQ it's just, and I plugged the 40 in, and I was just. Whoa. It was like all of a sudden I could understand.
It all sounds perfect. It's talent. I love a PR40, and I bet you Dave would. I think you really got to give David. Now, if Dave is one of those guys who wanders off mic like that and goes over like that, that's not a microphone for him because the off-axis rejection is so high that you just lose it right away.
That is correct. And as I said, I've talked to these guys about some headsets, and I would imagine that
he's building some for us.
Yeah, he is.
I don't want to say anything, but Bob, we use Countryman. When we're stand up and we want to have a close mic, we like a close mic sound, but we don't want lavs, so we use the Countryman. And I told Bob that, and he said, "No, I can do a better job."
Yes, and I've heard some rumors, so I'm not going to speak out loud. But I think anything at this point, anything in the Shure line. I mean, we're still using the 25 until we find the replacement, and I think I know where my replacement's coming from.
Just tell Dave it musses up your hair.
Oh, I mean. Look at my hair. I wear headphones all day, and
It looks like it.
Yeah.
I've been wearing in-ear headphones today on the broadcast. This is a kind of an interesting company. It's called Sonomax. They came over at CES to us. They put on a headset, and they inflate. It's like going to an audiologist, but you can do it yourself. They inflate a balloon into your ear, and it creates molded headphones. And these are my molded headphones. The other advantage of this is only I can ever wear these, but they really sound good.
Yeah, I don't like other people wearing my molded headphones.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work.
No, it's...
Yeah. So nice meeting you, Matt. And please give my regards to Dave. He's a legend in the business.
I will. Thank you for...
If you just give me half of his stations, that's okay.
There you go.
That's half. That's all I ask. All right. Scott Wilkinson, are you ready to take over? Because I have to go and catch a plane.
I think you should go catch your plane.
I have to ask you a question, though, before you take over. Do you like ham?
I love that.
All right, because there's a lot of ham in the room here today. All right, I'm going to let you take over. I'm going to go catch my plane. Everybody, I want to thank you for being a part of our broadcast from the National Association of Broadcasters show. Thanks to NAB for inviting us. We've had a great time. We will be back on 9 to 1 tomorrow, so there's a lot more from the show. But I'm going to head back to the studio so that we can do iPad today and Security Now tomorrow from the TWiT Cottage. I want to thank the folks at NewTek for giving us the TriCaster HD850 to use during this three-day period, because it's just an amazing switcher, and we've had such great results. Of course, we wouldn't be here without the Live View, the backpack that Hilton Goring is wearing. That allows us to broadcast anywhere, anytime. If you're enjoying the signal you're seeing, the HD signal you're seeing, thank Live View for that. That's Live View, liveview.com. And, I got to thank Bob and Sarah. Where are they? Bob and Sarah Heil for making this pot. He's working right now, but I just have to thank them. Come here. I got to thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting us to this great party.
Welcome. You are so welcome.
And please thank Bob for the best microphones in the world.
Well,
we just love them.
Well, as I always tell Bob, you just go in there and invent stuff, and I'll run the company, and that's the
you do a great
job.
It
works.
And I'm glad people could see the. Wait, here comes Bob. Come here, Bob. Bob, I adore you. You are the greatest. You are a legend in the business. But you and Sarah are the nicest people. I just adore you.
Thank you.
Thank you for these great microphones.
Oh, thank you.
We're happy to help everybody and make good sound. Because
when are we going to start this show?
We're working diligently on it. The man you just talked to, Matt? Aaron.
Yeah. Is he going to help out?
He's going to be one of my helps to get all the equipment set up, as well as a lot of other people have been giving me great help. Alex and Jammer's been wonderful giving me...
Alex Gumpel and Jammer B, yep.
So we're getting advice as to what we're doing and putting it all together. But the other thing I've been doing is working on what we're going to do for the people that are going to join us, people that's going to make it interesting.
Yes, you have to build a Skypeosaurus, basically.
And we can't be boring, and because we don't have boring things on TWiT.
We have Skypeosauruses, and we can do it from our studio, so we will figure it out for you. But I want
about the people. We have to be
find the people
upbeat, and we can't be.
I'm not too worried.
Well,
I'm not too worried. Ham Nation debuts soon on the TWiT network.
That's right.
I'm so excited.
You got it.
Bob, Sarah, thank you so much. I'm going to leave because I have a plane to catch. Scott Wilkinson's going to take over. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you from the TWiT Cottage. Scott, it's all yours, my friend.
Thank you, Will. I'm happy to take the reins. I'll never fill your shoes, but I'll try and do a good job here.
So here we are at the Heil party. I am taking over for Leo, and right away I've got a couple of guests here. I have Kurt.
Oh, I'm John Curtis.
John
that's
Curtis.
close.
It was close. And your wife, Robin?
Yes. She hates TV.
Hates being on TV or watching TV?
Being on TV, I'm afraid.
Oh, okay. Well, you don't have to stay here if you don't want to. I don't want to force you or anything. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit because we were talking off camera, and it turns out that you're hams, both of you actually, and this is what a large part of this party is about.
It is a big gathering, and I probably have 2 or 3 friends who I haven't seen yet, but I'm sure they're here. If I could hear something, it would be even better.
Yeah, they're giving away like 150 different gifts in the raffle. I've been sort of listening for my number, haven't heard it yet.
Well, me neither. I don't win anything, although I did get one of Bob Heil's books today, and that's going to be great reading. He's got a lot of cool stuff in there.
Really? Has he written many books?
I don't know, but this particular one, he has some cool stuff in the back, stats and things, but it talks about, how he came into being, and his wild background, which I'm sure you've heard with the Dead and the Who and building those crazy amps and things. If you haven't gotten into the story, it's a lot of fun.
Now, he started his career even as a hobby, as a ham operator, as you did.
He did, and he mentions that today and said that the biggest thing that got him going was being a ham and getting into all of the aspects of it, which kind of led one thing to another and got him into doing work with broadcasting, ultimately, of course, and then with these amplifiers. And his approach is unique, and that's a story in itself. You've got to hear sometime.
Now, I was thinking today as I was coming to the party and thinking about there were going to be a lot of ham operators, and I forget who I was talking to. It's all a blur at this point. That ham really was, in a way, the precursor to personal broadcasting, as we now have on the internet, as we're doing here. But well before the internet and so on, there was ham radio where you could actually broadcast a show, a personal show, out to the world. Have you ever done anything like that?
Well, what we would call that is like a QST, or for informational purposes, but we're not supposed to broadcast, but we make communications, of course, and we work in emergency situations. And Morse code, or CW as it's common called, for continuous wave, was the first form of digital communication.
That's right. Morse code is digital, of course.
It is. It is. We were talking about anything with a chip. Well, this is before even anybody knew what a chip was, going back. And I did meet Samuel F.B. Morse III many years ago, and that's a story in itself.
No kidding. How did you come to meet, the grandson of?
Great-grandson, if I'm not mistaken, but don't quote me. But real interesting guy, and he knew somebody. You know how this works. Somebody threw a chain of friends, and he worked with our repeater group down in Southern California, and we had the field day, which I'm sure you've heard of, where we all get together and try to jam up the airwaves as much as possible. And we're practicing.
Oh my God, you guys are like the original pirates or hackers.
No, no, nothing like that. The purpose is to make as many contacts, and it's practice for emergency communications.
Ah, well, this is important.
Very important, because when there's no power, there's no phone or anything else, we get help. And I worked with a group of people with the Gold Coast Net, which is Central Coast, Santa Barbara up to San Luis Obispo County. We had quite a few people working on Katrina. We did everything we could, but it was such a huge disaster that we did have fatalities, but we managed to get good communications and everything we could to get help.
That's incredible. Now, has there been a lot of ham work in the recent Japanese disaster?
That's a good question. I would assume there is. I know we got a lot of medical supplies and things over there, but really, Scott, it's a collective effort with a lot of agencies and a lot of people working, so not necessarily one would get credit over another, because for one thing, as you know, it's such the magnitude of this one was just unbelievable. I mean, we haven't seen anything like this in how many years now?
Absolutely. I mean, Katrina was awful and of huge magnitude, but I might even say this was even worse.
It was pretty bad. I think it's going to be one of the worst in recent history. A question for you, if I can switch gears. Have you seen much of the show? And before I lose my voice. And have you seen anything interesting and anything with the 3D? And what's your opinion on the 3D?
Well, now that Leo's gone, I can say.
I love the rivalry between you two. It's fun to listen to you two. And
Yes, well, you know, I am more of a believer in 3D than Leo is. I have my skepticism, and I've seen bad examples of 3D, certainly. We all have. But it is so pervasive now in the industry that it needs to be covered. And as a journalist, I feel the need to cover it. So I'm going to continue to cover it because there's an awful lot to cover. As there was here at this show, there's an awful lot to cover. We have 3D cameras, we have 3D workflow systems and 3D processors and 3D displays. We've seen a ton of those.
last year and this year, I've seen a not resurgence. What's the word? You know, an influx.
Proliferation.
That's it. Thank you. Something like that. Well, 2.5 days on our feet, you know.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. My brain is mush right now. If that's
mine is too. Mine is just all this input that we have. And were you at CES this year?
Oh yeah, I've been going there every year.
You're the man for it.
Yes, and we saw a lot of 3D there, but we've seen a lot of 3D here. At CES, of course, it was the end user looking at the TVs and so on. Here, it's the production of 3D, which I personally find fascinating. And so while Leo may not think much of 3D, and he, I know, really prefers 4K, which is this ultra-high resolution.
I got to see that 2 years ago. And it was one of the Japanese groups that had it, and they had a small screen and a large screen. The large screen was like 50 by 100 or something, close to that, and it was impressive. It really was.
Well, I've seen a lot of 4K at this show as well. One of the most amazing 4K displays for me was in the JVC booth. They were showing a 4K camcorder, which was a prototype, but they were showing it on two different displays. One was like a 55-inch, which looked fabulous. More interesting, though, to me, was something like a 20-inch from IBM, a 20-inch 4K display. I could put my eyeball up to that screen and not see the pixels.
It would be amazing to see. How about something like that on an OLED?
Yes, a 4K OLED would be wonderful. Speaking of which, the OLEDs at the Sony booth, the professional monitors, looked amazing.
They were beautiful. I did get to see that and the presentation. What I like was the black level was just, as you probably saw, but I have a beef, okay?
Okay, what is your beef?
The LCD looked like the white was tweaked up too high on purpose.
You know, did you note?
See that?
I didn't. Okay. I didn't notice that in particular. I did notice that when they first started the demo, they showed a particular type of test pattern that said, we've set the black levels correctly. They did not mention the white levels.
White level, and that was the thing. I saw that and I said, honey, and so she and I got into a nice little discussion over that.
So you saw that demo as well?
I did. I did see the demo. It was an interesting demo. I like the screens that they were working with. They had really, really dark blacks on that, which is I haven't seen before.
Even deeper than the CRT that was standing right next to it.
Exactly, and I kind of expected that from the CRT, but not from the other displays. So it was really interesting to see.
Did you, in the Sony booth, go over to the other end of the booth and see the 4K projection? They actually made a short little movie with their new F65 camera, which actually records in 8K and then outputs in 4K. And you might think, well, why would you do that? Well, the reason is, if you record at a higher resolution than you're ultimately going to display, the picture that you ultimately display turns out to be better quality than if you capture at the final display. You're down-resing, or you can crop things, you can do a lot of different things. The red camera, did you see the red camera on the floor?
We saw someone running around on a Segway with one, but
yes. With big tires.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was, I don't know if you saw that, Scott. It was the coolest affair I've ever seen. You steer it with your knees, so you have all your hands available, and you go backwards, forwards. It had these huge tires on it, so you probably for shock.
For stability.
Yeah. And he was It was where the ballroom dancers were, and he was getting every cool angle and working this camera in such a way that it would amaze you to watch this happen.
I saw a bunch of really cool gizmos, camera mounts for putting them on your shoulder and steady cam stuff, all that kind of stuff. It was very cool.
Every combination you could imagine now. It's not just the one thing. There's these little portable things where you hold it and you just steer it very gently with the neck of the mount. Was really impressive. Which come in great for lots of action scenes or, where you can't get a big camera in or any kind of a unique situation. So it's changing like by the second.
By the second. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with us. Really appreciate it.
We love TWiT. We catch it constantly, and we love your show, that part of Leo, because we're always glued to Leo every weekend. We never miss it. And we enjoyed you, too, when you subbed for Leo. That was...
Thank you. Thank you very much. I had a great time doing that, and I hope Leo takes another vacation sometime.
We hope we'll get the chance to see that again, and love the quilt. Remember, we got to talk about
Ah, yes, my grandmother's quilt behind me when I'm on the show. Thanks again.
Thank you, Scott.
And take care. Okay, you know what we're going to do? We are going to walk through this crowd. This camera has been sitting here in one spot the entire time. And so what I really want to do is walk through this crowd and see what a huge party this is. It's really great. We're going to walk past, there you can see it, we're going to walk past the MC who is giving away 150 raffle prizes. I've been keeping one ear out for my own ticket number. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't heard it yet, so it's likely I haven't won any of the 150 prizes, but they included HD TV antennas and books and all kinds of stuff, which is very generous of all the providers here at the Heil NAB party. I'm looking for Bob Heil. Can you get him for me? Oh, there he is. Oh, okay, good. Then we're actually going to go visit some folks from down under and see what they have to say about all of this. Bob, would love for you to introduce me to your Australian friend.
Well, I've been trying to find them. I'm not sure where they all went. But
okay, well, you keep looking. Well, I'm sure it like me at the show, you walk down the aisle and 5 feet later you run into somebody you know, and then 5 feet later you run into somebody else you know.
Yeah, I just have to be careful I don't run into somebody that I owe money to, or I got to make sure that my parole officer's not here. That's the
Well, I would really be careful with that, yeah. Absolutely.
That's right.
So, will you help us find somebody to...
we got a couple of guys. Let me come over here. I want to introduce you to... This is a wonderful guy here, Robin Cross.
Robin?
FEN.
How do you do? I'm Scott Wilkinson with TWiT.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks. Nice to meet you, too. I'm so amazed and interested that so many people like you have your call letters on your name badge. It's almost like another name.
Absolutely. I used to be very adamant when I applied to the NAB for the name badge that my call sign was like my middle name.
I have to say, I myself did not get into the ham hobby as much as so many people here, but it seems to me to be a very tight-knit group of people that are really quite fraternal.
Absolutely. The thing about ham radio is that it's self-motivated, and when it's self-motivated, then you have to want to do this. And you have to want to upgrade. You have to want to, and you do the work behind the scenes, and then it's more precious to you. And that's really what the key is.
Certainly, hams are like any other geek, like me, wanting to always upgrade. There's always the next thing, right?
Yes. And ham radio is like that. I haven't done all the possibilities in ham radio. Slow scan TV, or I built a 6-meter repeater 25 years ago, 30 years ago, etc. But I haven't done all the things that are available, and now like Echolink or all these new technologies. Amazing.
Now, speaking of new technologies, I wonder, ham radio's been around for what, close to 100 years probably by now.
Pretty darn close, yeah.
And I wonder how, pardon me, my voice is going after 3 days. I wonder how the hobby has been affected by the rise of the internet and online communications, which allow you, like ham radio does, to communicate with anyone in the world.
There has been a little bit of a backlash where I am from that.
How do you mean?
There needs to be a set of etiquette internationally for hams, because we get on our local 2-meter repeater, we have Echolink, and
can you explain, just as an aside, what Echolink is? Because I'm not familiar with that term.
It allows a licensed ham to get on the internet, and then with a computer. Actually, I've got my Android type phone, and I can do it from right here.
You can do your ham thing now from your Android phone.
Yes. Well, this has been available for 5-6 years, maybe 8. I don't know. I don't know really when Echolink started. But they come on, and they come on the 2-meter repeater, and they don't wait and listen. Even if it's a ham from Germany or Russia, or makes no difference. They come on, and they don't have the etiquette to listen before they transmit, and that's caused a little bit of backlash in our local community.
That's very interesting. Now there is a set of rules of etiquette on the internet, often called netiquette, but that is certainly much younger than the etiquette that you're talking about, which has existed among the ham community for quite a long time.
And it's the technological newbies that are attracted to that don't have the stations, or they have got the CC&Rs, the covenants and restrictions on their property, where they can't put up an antenna. I've got a 160-meter loop.
Now, is that one of those? I drive around my neighborhood sometimes, and a few people have these gigantic antennas in their backyard. Is that what we're talking about here?
No. If you drive up to my house, being a ham, I finally got the place where I can put up the antennas where I want, and I've got 3.5 acres, 50, 60-foot trees, and you can't tell that there's a ham station there, because I use wire antennas,
as opposed to
towers and beam antennas. There are lots of wire antennas that aren't visible from the street. I have a large enough lot that a lot of people don't have a lot that size, and they would be more visible. But mine is, it just blends into the trees,
and you can actually talk to other hams anywhere in the world.
Pretty close. I mostly work 40 meters.
Now let's talk about that for a moment. We're talking about the wavelength of the radio wave that you use to communicate. And I assume you've talked now about several different wavelengths, all in the meters and tens of meters, so that's pretty long. How far does that let you go?
It doesn't depend on the length of the wave. It depends on the propagation and what the ionosphere is doing.
Because you're bouncing off the ionosphere.
Yes. And there are the certain bands that are in ham bands in the United States. The lowest one is 160 meters, which is just above the AM broadcast band. And whether anybody knows it or not, all of electronics is metric. Period.
So we're not talking about feet and inches here.
No. There are formulas you can use that are in feet and inches, but generally the formula is, the speed of light in meters per second or kilometers per second.
Which is 300,000 kilometers per second.
Exactly. And then the frequency, and that gives you the wavelength. Divide the frequency into that 300,000.
That sounds like you know something about physics. So I'm going to ask you a question that I have had in my mind for a very long time. If you don't know, that's fine. But I ask this of anybody who might know the answer. As we know, radio waves consist of photons, right? It's electromagnetic radiation, just like light. light is one part of the electromagnetic spectrum, just like the radio waves that you work with, right?
It's part of the electromagnetic spectrum, but it's not photons.
Okay.
It's too short or too long.
That was my question. Photons are tiny little things.
When you think of wavelength, it's inverse. So the bigger the number, the lower the frequency.
All right. Well, you've helped me there. I want to thank you very much, Robin, for speaking with us. It's been quite an enjoyable little moment here.
I've been fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here.
Well, we're certainly happy to be here, and
Bob is. I was at a Ham Club meeting last night, and he did his amateur radio presentation. Fantastic.
Oh, he's an amazing guy, and I think I'm about to speak with him right now. So thanks once again. Hey, Bob.
I have an interesting group over here.
Excellent.
A couple of guys from Australia.
Oh, good.
But then a third guy. They don't know each other, but they do now. Look at this. How about this?
Look at this. It's a whole group. I'm Scott Wilkinson. Hi, Ian. Rob, how do you do? Andrew, hi.
Look at this. Wireless Institute of Australia. How about that?
WIA, huh? So what brings you to the NAB show?
Just looking at a few toys and products, and just extremely good.
Now, are you guys professional broadcasters or ham hobbyists?
Virtually newscaster.
Sorry?
Newscasting.
Newscasting, okay.
Yep.
And you're all involved in the same organization?
Well, I'm only his apprentice.
First time here.
An intern, eh?
Actually, I'm a weapons technician with a defence contractor. And Rob and I have got the same interest, and he said, why don't you come along? And I said, great, we will.
Is this your first time at NAB?
Yeah, first time in the United States.
Now, have you become totally overwhelmed?
Yeah, by the security, yeah. I'm waiting to be frisk searched by one of those lovely ladies.
Well, wouldn't that be very nice? Yes, indeed. So what have you seen here at the show that particularly impressed you?
Oh, I don't know. I've seen much that really impressed me. I've been coming to NABs for a long, long time.
Oh, you have been? Okay. So you're an old hand.
Yeah. First one I came to was 1980, and I've been to every one since.
No kidding. Wow, so that's 31 years you've been coming to NAB. Oh, my goodness. Now, you're probably looking mostly at radio-type equipment, not video, for example.
We're a consulting engineering company, and we're consulting engineering, and we do system integration. So we do satellite, do television, do radio.
I myself am more on the consumer end of things, so I've been looking at the displays and the cameras and so on, 3D, 4K, and so on, in order to see how that might affect the consumer experience. And certainly I've been very impressed with the 3D I've seen here and with the 4K that is now becoming more common. How is the adoption of 3D in Australia?
The take-up's fairly slow. It's only, I don't think it's been transmitted on certain sport presentations, but general transmission very low.
That's on TV. What about in the movies?
Just only it was a Blu-ray. Just on Blu-ray.
Not in commercial theaters?
In the theatres, we've just got a contract to put in satellite delivery of DCP to the theatres. There's about 180 theatres.
Now, what city are you guys in?
Bendigo, in central Victoria.
Central Victoria.
Bendigo, just sort of north of Melbourne.
Sydney.
Yeah. I was speaking with an Australian just yesterday or the day before, a fellow who listens to Leo Laporte's show and my podcast from Melbourne, I believe. And so I'm actually impressed at how many fans Leo has in Australia and New Zealand. It's quite remarkable, and a testament to the power of internet broadcasting. I was talking with Robin here just a moment ago about the relationship, or maybe it was the fellow before, the relationship between ham radio, which is worldwide, it reaches the entire world, and the internet, which reaches the entire world. How have you found that? Have you found any similarity like that yourself, or am I just talking out of my you-know-what?
Oh, on. It's the internet's got a lot of possibilities now with the on streaming and that, and it's going to be the norm.
Yeah, we last night it was. I think Leo was on a panel talking about online podcasting and broadcasting, and how that's really the new paradigm. I assume. Oh, here's a good question for you. Different countries around the world have different penetration of broadband and high speed. And I know, for example, South Korea is #1 with something like an average of 20 megabits down for customers, for consumers. The U.S. is number 30, I think, with 7 point something. Where is Australia? Do you know?
It's virtually 3G, but 4G is just about to roll out, I believe, isn't it?
The government's announced that they're putting in a thing called NBN, which is the National Broadband Network. But it's held up a bit at the moment. But the intent is to put fibre, 100 mega to everybody, every house.
100 megabits to every house?
Yeah, it's huge. It's 43.
$43 billion. And how long do you expect that to take?
It's about three to 8 years, yeah. They're rolling it in from the country into the city.
And is that government subsidized?
Yeah, it's a government initiative for digital.
Well, that's quite incredible. I know that Singapore has done a similar thing where they've basically rolled out high speed, I don't remember what it is exactly, to every house or every home in the country. And it sounds like Australia is working along those same lines.
Well, they want to do the same thing, but at the moment it's going to... The situation is out in the rural areas, they won't be able to get fibre, so they're looking at using satellite and using wireless to get to them.
Right, I would think you'd need to use satellite to get to those really remote areas.
There's a penetration in the country areas.
There's a lot of political argy-bargy going on about it too.
A lot of what, sorry?
A lot of political debate about it between the two political parties.
So in Australia there are basically two political parties like there are here?
Yeah, there are three, but there are two major ones. A good one and a bad one.
I'm not going to ask you which is which. I have a feeling you might have a little debate here.
I'm president of our local Trades and Labour Council, so I'll let you make a guess.
Well, that's fantastic. I want to thank you guys all for being here. Delight to talk to you, and have a great time rest of the show. All right. So, Bob, who we got next?
Have a great friend, W3EEE.
W3EEE.
Oh, yes.
I'd know you anywhere.
Steve's a very talented guy.
I actually bought this in the FCC raffle when they started giving them out about 16 years ago. Before that, I had one of those dreadful alphabet soup signs.
Right, exactly. I've been noticing here at the show, at this party anyway, so many people are identified at least as much by their call letters than by their name.
Oh, absolutely, that's true. And very often you don't know who somebody is by their real name at all. And so many friendships are made over the air, especially during radio contests, and you know the call, and you bump into them, and bump into them, and bump into them, and you start making jokes with each other. No idea who they are. None. And then you come to an event like this, and it's, what,
You're him?
Yes.
Now, what you mentioned a radio contest. What is that?
Yes. Oh, they're wonderful events. It's where radio hams dedicate, say, a whole weekend, 48 hours, to doing nothing apart from seeing how many other radio hams they can contact within that 2-day period.
Wow, it's almost like birders and their bird list, their life list of how many birds can they see either in their life or in a weekend or something like that. It's a similar thing.
But it's a far worse geek factor. You don't get out.
You don't get out, of course. Yeah, it's not as healthy, probably.
No, not at all. Look, the pasty, lovely taste, pasty fan. Yes. But as well as the number of contacts that you make, which can be up to 6,000, 7,000 over...
In a weekend?
If you're on from a good place, like a weird little Caribbean island or something. If you're on from Pennsylvania, you don't make as many as you do as...
Why does your physical location matter?
Because a weird little island is rarer, because they have fewer people who live there, fewer radio hams.
So more radio hams want to contact them.
Precisely. Yes, and part of the scoring mechanism is how many different countries can you contact. So the total score is how many contacts did you make, how many countries, multiply them together, ta-da.
And you have a number, a metric.
A big number, yes. It's up in the millions usually.
Wow. And what was the biggest number you ever achieved?
7.5 million.
In a 48-hour period?
Yes, I was on from the Turks and Caicos Islands, which at that time were rare. They're not so rare now.
And where do you call home?
Florida now. As you can tell from the accent, I'm originally from Starkville, Mississippi.
Yes, of course. I would have known, down to the street.
Quite right. Yes, yeah. But that was after I moved from Meridian, Mississippi. So.
Of course. I thought I detected a little hint of Meridian in there.
That's right.
So what brings you to the show? Are you a hobbyist, a professional?
No, I'm a professional. I'm with an exhibitor here. We make audio equipment.
What sort of equipment?
Mixing consoles and signal processors for radio, television, audio.
Okay. And has it been a good show for you?
It's been spectacular. The first 2 days were so busy, it was ridiculous.
I heard several people say that 2 years ago the NAB show was pretty dead. I mean, the economy was down, everybody was having problems. Last year it picked up a little bit. This year it seems to have really come back strong.
Yes, it has. But then again, a couple of years ago when things were light, everybody was very cooperative. We passed the customer around between ourselves.
Well, it's lovely to talk to you, W3EEE. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, here we are back with Bob again.
Scott, we're so thrilled to have.
This is good night. It can't possibly be already.
It went bye went fast.
It went so fast.
Well, good shows usually do, don't they?
They do.
And we're so happy that we could bring all this excitement to the TWiT network tonight.
Well, this was a wonderful opportunity for us to get off the show floor, for one thing, and to have a nice, lovely party, a couple of drinks, and talk to some people who we otherwise might not have gotten to meet. So
that's right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And we want to thank everybody that came from the TWiT staff. These guys are so much fun.
It's an incredible
They're
crew.
my new best friends. I mean, we met them at the cottage, and they just treated us like family from the start. And I want to thank them as well because, as we all know, none of this would happen if it weren't for these guys all standing behind the camera.
It's really true. I mean, I get to stand in front of the camera. We're standing here in front of the camera, and it's a wonderful experience. But it wouldn't happen without all these folks behind the camera.
That's right.
I also want to thank you all very much.
Well, thank you so much. We'll see you again soon. Somewhere
along in the airwaves,
in the clouds,
in the clouds.
That's
very
right.
good, very good.
Okay.
So that's it for now from the Heil NAB party. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow.
Good night.
Bye-bye.